So I had a conversation recently with someone that's already looking into the home buying process. They asked me for, the general stuff, saying, "Hey, I want to do this. I think it's going to be about a year, and what should I do? What's some things that I need to start getting ready, numbers wise, all the just the general information that when somebody's starting, they would ask." And that conversation went pretty well. I'm very happy for this person because they deserve it. But one thing that stuck out to me as we kept talking was we got to the point of conversation saying, "Oh, I'm very excited, but this feels a little scary because I'm renting right now, and if anything happens with the house, it's a big purchase, it's a big responsibility, and if anything happens and breaks, that's gonna be all me now. Versus now when I'm renting, if something happens, I can just call somebody and then it get fixed." And that's true, and I think that's why a lot of people are scared of the home buying process and being homeowners. And I'm not gonna pretend it's not. Why? Because it's a big number, six-figure debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a long-term commitment, which is typically 30 years. And again, it's you're gonna take full responsibility of this property. But I don't think it's all bad. And I'm not gonna try to convince you it's not. It is intimidating. But I want to give you a different perspective and think about it differently, where it's not bad. And I do see that a lot, where people always talk online saying, "Hey, buying a house is scary, it's risky, it's stressful," and then they just leave it at that, and that's what sticks to most people, and they don't ever move on or try to even take a step forward. Just that fear stops them right away. And again, I wanted to slow that down and give you a different perspective. I'm not trying to convince you to buy. I'm not telling you that renting is bad. I just want to give you a fuller picture, and then you can decide if it makes sense for you. I don't think most people are scared of the house. I think they're scared of the responsibility. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just up until that point of their life, they've never had responsibility to that level. And again, they're right. Whenever you're renting, you just call the landlord if you're renting a studio or apartment, whatever. You just call them and they come and they fix it. And when then you own something and it breaks, you still call somebody, but it's now on you. And I think that feels heavier for a lot of people just because of the number. They're dealing with that number versus a landlord. And it's new to people, especially because you've never had to do before renting for so long. Some people have been renting for the last couple years, 5 years, 10 years, and that's what they're used to. And they're just not used to that or have that capacity to think like that when it becomes their own property. And you're not paying for this place to live, you're responsible for it. That can feel like a pressure. And responsibility isn't a bad thing, it just means that you're in control now. But let's talk about the number. So, because that's the part that really makes people feel uncomfortable, that it's a large loan, that it's a 30 year, it's a long commitment. And I don't think this part really gets explained. But you're not borrowing the money from the bank to buy this property and then it disappears, right? That purchase it just vanishes. You're living in it. You're inside of this home. You're building your life inside of it. And say if 5 years from now things change, you're not stuck there forever. You can sell it. And if you hold it for a good amount of time, the market cooperates, you can walk away with some money. And depending on again with the market and the timing, sometimes it's a good chunk and sometimes it's a bigger chunk. It's not always guaranteed, but for the most part, it's possible. And the different outcome than renting for 5 years is you're walking away with nothing. So scenario one, you live in a house for a couple years, you sell it, you're just over it, you don't want it, and you get some money. You walk away with the check. Versus renting, you keep paying that, paying that, paying that, and when it's time to walk away, when you need to relocate for whatever reason, or you just want to upsize, downsize, you walk away with nothing. And again, renting isn't wrong. It's just that's a difference between owning and renting. And then I think ownership also changes the way that you experience life. You don't have to ask for permission if you're renting, leasing a property, whatever. It's that ownership isn't yours, so you have to ask for permission to paint. You You don't have to worry about renewing a lease. You don't have to worry about the rent going up next year. You don't have to adjust your life because someone else is in the property. and somebody else makes those decisions for you. It's your space, you own the space, you're paying for your privacy. That's another difference. You can it's your space, you can shape it however you want. If you want to rearrange, change the fixtures, you want to paint it, you want to wake up, super early, or you want to stay up super late, there's nobody else that you're going to disrupt. It's your space. You get to control that, and that's a big deal. That's another difference between the renting and buying property. Renting and buying the property where you become the owner, you start having that freedom, and that freedom comes with that responsibility. And for others, it might not be the right time, but I mean, if it is, and that's something else that you're looking to get, that privacy, that space, that control, well, that's what comes with ownership. And the risk. So now with the risk, yes, things breaks, the market moves. It can go up, but it can also go down. Life changes, things happen around your life, the job, or some circumstances within, that life, just life changes, right? And those risks are there. But the risk doesn't mean that it's a reckless decision. It means that you you approach it in the right way. So again, whenever you're buying, the part that they say it's risky, all this stuff that you hear, right? It is, but you can control that risk, mitigate that risk. So from the other video that I brought up is, yes, you get pre-approved for a certain amount, which is awesome, but should that necessarily mean you should max it out, maybe go a little bit under? And that's, yes, you have that budget, but if you know you're at the limits and you want to push the limits, stretch yourself out, and you're okay with it, then that's fine. But this is where you manage the risk. Say if you do it all and you max it out because you had to for the, purchase the California prices, you wanted that nicer home, the newer move-in ready, whatever. You just went all the way here. Are you okay with if something bad happens? And yeah, I'm not hoping for anything bad happens, but let's just say, scenario, a small fender bender, something breaks in the house. Will that one little hiccup affect everything and go like a domino effect? Or are you okay with that risk? Or would you minimize that risk and just go a little bit under where you have this space and this room, this wiggle room, where if something bad happens, well, it might set you back a couple months, but it's not going to set you back a lot. And that's what I mean. Yes, the risk is there, but you can also control the risk, minimize the risk. And with that, when you minimize that risk, it gives you room to, save more, up your reserves, and it comes down to just making a responsible decision. And honestly, if buying a home doesn't make you pause a little bit, you're probably not taking it serious enough. It should feel important. It should feel like a big decision, but big doesn't automatically mean bad, which what I'm trying to say is, yes, pause and think about what you're getting yourself into, just because it is one of the more bigger decisions that most people take. And again, the point is to set yourself up for success. All of this is true from the very beginning. What I said, people say it's scary, it's intimidating, it's risky, all that. Yes, but you can control it. You got to change that perspective. And once you do that, you feel, you can go forward with making this decision, and more than not, this decision will set you up for generational wealth. It will give you more peace of mind. It will help you, feel that freedom of ownership versus renting. But I think most people hear all those things and they treat it like a stop sign where they just stop. They don't even try to wait, look left and right, and then, cross. And sometimes people are not financially ready, and that's okay. Some people's life are not stable enough, and that's okay. But if the only thing that is holding you back is that it feels intimidating, then that's different. Sometimes it just means that you're stepping into something new, and as you know, anything that you do new doesn't feel comfortable. It always feels uncomfortable at first, but at the end of the day, renting can make sense, but buying can also make sense too, depending on your situation, your stability, your goals. But what I'm trying to say is don't let that it's scary feeling stop you when you had that option the whole time, and you just it's something new that you've never done before or never had, where it can change your life dramatically. It can give you that, give you that freedom, that peace of mind, that ownership, that responsibility that you never knew you wanted or could have, but would change everything, For homeowners, they can just wake up whenever, at any time of the day, go to sleep at any time of the day, decorate however they want. One day, if they want to change, the living room into in and change the whole layout, color the whole room yellow, put a different light fixture, they can do whatever. That's their house. And just by doing that, it's a different type of excitement. So again, this was to give you a different perspective, slow it a little bit down, acknowledge and say yes, all the things that you hear online is true, but what's on the other side of that? And if you're trying to figure out whether you're really actually in a position to own, that's a conversation we can have. Most people, again, they hear those words, it's a stop sign, they just completely stop versus stopping and looking left, right, talking and taking the next step. And then you from there you can see if that decision is right for you for owning a home or still renting.